Thanks for staying with us. We are staying in the U.S., where the sensors from the first suspected Chinese spy balloon shot down over the U.S. have been recovered from the Atlantic Ocean. U.S. Northern Command said search crews found, quote, significant debris from the site, including all of the priority sensor and electronic pieces identified, end quote. The FBI is examining the items, which the U.S. says were used to spy on sensitive military sites. The U.S. has shot down 3 more objects since the first one on 4th of February. Details in this report.
First incident, American fighter jets have shot down 3 more high-altitude objects in as many days. Officials have said the slow-moving unidentified objects, all of which have been smaller than the first balloon, may be difficult for military pilots to target. White House spokesman John Kirby said on Monday that 3 other objects were shot down out of an abundance of caution.
We're not flying surveillance balloons over China. I'm not aware of any other craft that we're flying over into Chinese airspace.
The recovery of the balloon shot down on 4th of February was delayed amid foul weather. Efforts are underway to collect debris from where the other objects were blown out of the sky. During a midday briefing at the White House, the only detail of certainty was that the objects did not originate from outer space.
I just wanted to make sure we address this from the White House. I know there have been questions and concerns about this, but there is no indication of aliens or extraterrestrial activity with these recent takedowns. Again, there is no indication of aliens or terrestrial activity with these recent takedowns. Wanted to make sure that the American people knew that, all of you knew that, and it was important for us to say that from here because we've been hearing a lot about it.
A top White House official said as of Monday, the U.S. was not actively tracking any additional objects. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau traveled to the Yukon on Monday on a pre-planned visit and addressed the objects shot down over the territory on Saturday. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is considering meeting China's most senior diplomat, Wang Yi, later this week at the security conference in Munich, Germany. Sources familiar with the negotiations told U.S. media on Monday. Amid the row over high-altitude aircraft, America's top diplomat cancelled the visit to Beijing that was initially planned for last week. Meanwhile, China has accused the United States of illegally flying high-altitude balloons into its airspace more than 10 times since January 2022, claims that drew an immediate rebuttal from the White House.
To other stories now, the toll from last week's earthquake in Turkey and Syria has risen above 37,000 as the rescue teams start to wind down the search for survivors, and the aid effort shifted to hundreds of thousands of people made homeless. Turkish authorities say 31,974 people have been killed in the country, while expressing his gratitude to all countries that came forward to provide support after the quakes. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said 8,000 people have been pulled out alive from rubble in Turkey. Meanwhile, United Nations and the Syrian government say more than 5,800 people are dead in Syria. A Syrian mother and her newborn baby are also recovering after being rescued from the rubble of an earthquake-hit home twice in a week. Dima and her husband Abdul Majid are now living in a tent with their 9 nieces and nephews. UN aid trucks will now roll into Syria's country's rebel-held northwest region through 2 additional crossings other than Bab al-Hawa, which was the only operational crossing for several days after last week's earthquakes. The 2 crossings that will now also be used are Bab al-Salam and Bab al-Ray.